kind of data was the user able to share, was trying to share it. All these activities are actually being done by Copilot, or we can use Copilot to do these things. Now, what it would do, it will actually not ignore the legal protections or the policies. Rather, it will try to understand that which policies got applied. It would explain us what happened in the DLP incident. Okay. It we can like draft the awareness messages for the users. Okay. Then we can even take help of Copilot to create the DLP policies as well. Or maybe like we want some kind of improvements to understand that okay, we have certain data with us, but the sensitivity like what type of sensitivity label should be created? What are the conditions on it? Okay. Maybe like we have created the sensitivity label, we have auto applied it, and then when we are, suppose if I go to solutions, if I go to the data loss prevention, okay. Now over here, guys, if we see there is an option of data explorer that is which will tell us the actually which will scan the entire data in the complete tenant, right? Be it in Teams, SharePoint, Exchange, OneDrive, everywhere, and it will share us that how much sensitive information is there. Then in how many or in how many files or in how many data the trainable classifiers or be it like the sensitivity label has been applied. Now suppose if we check or if you want to know that okay whether the label which we have published is it getting applied to all the content, to all the sensitivity content. Now manually if we try to check it will take a lot of time. So who would help in that case? Copilot. So this is how Copilot for security would help us to maintain the compliance. Or if I would be specific, to maintain the data protection. Okay. Now, is that the only thing? Now, again comes another thing over here because we learned that data governance is also a part of it. So, how Copilot would be helping us in data governance, or rather, we can think of that will Copilot be able to help us? Definitely, Copilot can do that. Now, whenever we talk about data governance, so the thing which comes to our mind is what do you think? Of course, it's the data lifecycle management, this option. Why? Because within this, we know we have the retention policy and retention label. Now, if we would like to apply if we would want to retain the data over a wide scope, then of course retention policy is the best. We can choose it and we can enter the scope as well that whether it will be applied on Exchange, SharePoint, OneDrive. Okay, or if we would like to apply the retention over some specific files, okay, be it on certain emails only, or maybe on like on certain documents in SharePoint, then we can choose retention label. Okay. Now, going through this, guys, if I go through the retention policy, then let's check. We already have multiple retention policies over here, but just to show you guys, I'll go through this. Yes. Okay, next. If there are any admin names created, I'll add it. If there is any scope created, be it for HR, for a specific department, or maybe for a specific location, we can choose it. Otherwise, I'll go for static. And then it will give me the option that where we would like to apply the retention policy. Okay. Now, the reason, guys, why I said that on a wide scope, because we can see it chooses Exchange, SharePoint, OneDrive, M365 mailbox. We also have the Teams chat, even the Copilot as well. Other enterprise apps, we can enable it, disable it. Now, within that, we can again give the scope, which mailbox to include, which mailbox to exclude. So we can do this. Then comes to next, and we can choose that what is our action or what do we want. Do we want to retain the items or do we want to delete the items? Do we want to retain the items forever? So we can apply this. But guys, if we check, then retention policies for a wide scope, right? If not exchange, then at least we can understand that okay, on the entire mailbox it's getting applied. But now if we would compare it with retention label, okay. So if I go to retention label, then from here, again, I already have retention labels, but let's go through the process of creation of label. Maybe test 1, 2, 3. Okay. Next, Now, again, retention label also is giving me the same conditions, right? That okay, whether I want to retain the items forever or for a limited period of time, or maybe like just labeling the items, or if you would like to enforce an action after a specific period. Okay. But guys, over here, if we see, then first of all, we get multiple options over here. All these options are not there for a retention policy. In retention policy, we get only two options, either when items were created or when items were last modified. But over here, we get when items were labeled. Okay. Then, depending upon a certain activity, depending upon the expiration or termination of contract, we can choose this. And then our retention label will be applied. Okay. Then comes certain other factors that, okay, what will happen? Will it just delete the items? Will it change the label? Will it run a Power Automate flow? Will it start a disposition review? Again, a team will check on the content. Moreover, guys, how to understand the difference between retention label and policy? If I go to my OneDrive, sorry, if I go to my Outlook now, I just go to the inbox and okay. So this is an automated email, guys. You can see that there is an option, there's a message coming up over here. 3 years retention policy. So by default, since I have applied this 3 years retention policy over my mailbox, it says the mail will be expired on 27th November 2028, even at 6:30 a.m. So exact timestamp is given. But if I click on it and if I go to advanced action assignment policy, now there's an option of retention label 5 years. If I choose this now, just check it over here, guys. It will just change it. Okay. Okay, so it's changing automatically. Now it will change. See, just a few seconds ago, it was showing retention policy 3 years. Expiration was of 3 years, but now we can see that this expiration is of 5 years. Okay, so why such difference? It's because retention label applies on file specific. Now that is the difference. Okay, so we can take help of retention label if we would like to apply on certain documents, certain files. Now comes the fact that okay, we understand that what is the concept of retention label. We know we continuously use it, right? Retention policy, retention label. But how Copilot would come into the picture over here? What Copilot would do? So guys, if we check over here that we can create multiple labels, then if we want, we can create a retention label policy as well. Now, in case of retention label, guys, there are two ways by which we can assign it. First is that while we are publishing the retention label policy, okay, then we can, the administrator is creating the labels and then the users are applying the labels. So it's a 50-50 contribution, right? The same thing I did it over here. But how Copilot would come into the picture? So basically, since we can understand that, okay, there's a retention policy, then comes the retention label. In retention label, users can apply manually, or if the admin wants, the admin can make it auto apply if we have the E5 license or maybe the enterprise plan 5, I believe, EMS plan 5. Okay. Now, with all this, if we check with the compliance team or be it like manually, if I'm trying to check it, that okay, whether the retention label has been applied on the data or not, which retention policy is working on which user. So it will take a lot of time. So that is the scenario when Copilot would come into the picture. Okay, now how Copilot would help? Basically, if we talk about, then Copilot would help us in summarizing what is really okay, or maybe like for how long the records are there, what are the conditions of the records. Okay, then we can take help of Copilot even to like write any retention or maybe any deletion workflows. Okay, for example, if I go for prompt, then I would rather say that for information governance, what type of prompt will I use? I'll use something like, okay, summarize my retention and records management policies in simple and business friendly language. Okay, now I'm just expanding it. with a bit of subjective content. That is, identify, okay, um, which policies apply to email, SharePoint, and Teams. Okay, now we can go with this query, but let me run it over here just to check what happens. Okay, now this is a Copilot. I've entered it on Copilot chat and I am utilizing it. Okay, so if I check it over here, then let's see what does it say. Okay. So over here, what we can see that it says I found 118 relevant resources with retention and records. Then comes retention policies. What are retention policies and label? It's explaining why do we use them and what are the principles. But over here, was this our requirement? No. Now, of course, certain thing will come to our mind that okay, why would it show Arudip? Because you are applying it on a different tenant. That's true. Now, the reason why I'm showing it over here is because, guys, in order to utilize Copilot for identity protection, for data protection, for information governance, and even for threat management, we need Copilot, but actually, that is not included in Copilot for Microsoft 365. So that's the reason why I shared this prompt over here. Okay, so this is the account, guys, which has Copilot license. If I show you, then if I go to view subscription, so it has E3, Teams, Copilot for Service, okay, Copilot for Finance, M365 Copilot, and Copilot for Sales. Now, actually, if we need Copilot for a specific kind of integration, then we can have Service, Finance, or Sales. Otherwise, just to integrate it with M365 applications, M365 Copilot is good enough. Okay. But if we would like to utilize Copilot in our intra portal, in the Purview portal, in the security portal, then what do we need? Then there's a separate license which is required, that is M365 Copilot for security. So just like for finance, for service, for sales, we need another license which we don't have over here in this account, neither in the account which has the admin access. If I click on this Copilot over here, guys, then you see Copilot hasn't been set up. Okay, contact the global admin. Then if I come to my intra, over there also we will be getting similar kind of information. That is, if I click on Copilot, then your organization does not have security Copilot in intra. Okay. So basically it requires a separate license for that. Then only it will be able to do it. Now Copilot is visible over here just by taking the license, and if you apply it to the users, then users can utilize it. But actually Copilot for security, this license is mainly used by the administrators because as we know, even the users don't have access to the intra admin center, neither to the compliance admin center, nor to the defender portal. Okay. Now, generally, the security admin, the compliance admin, they have access. So it's essential to apply this Copilot license to them so that they can reduce the time, increase the productivity, and check the information, be it related to like data governance, be it relevant to the data protection, or be it relevant to the identity protection. Okay. Now, that's the main requirement. Now, since we discussed all three things, so there's one more thing which is remaining. That is, how can it help us in the Defender portal, or formerly known as the security portal? In this portal, what do we have, guys? We know that we have the Defender in place. Okay, we have here, if we see, then we do have Microsoft Sentinel. We have Defender for identities, Defender for endpoints, Defender for Office 365, and Defender for cloud apps. Right now, of course, we can create the policies, then we can like check the policies. Now, since we have certain defenders, we can create the policies, we can check the application. So, of course, defender would also be sharing us some notification, right? If any threat has been detected, if it is able to detect any malicious activity, or maybe something that okay, I have created some policy and maybe there has been some kind of attack on it, right? So once it is being detected, what happens? Of course, if I come to investigation and response, then alerts are generated. If I come to alerts, alerts will be generated. Let's see if I have any alerts or not. 1 week, okay. What if I check for 30 days? Mm, yes, I have the DLP alerts, right? Now, not only the DLP alerts, even if there would have been any kind of phishing attempt or any such thing, even those will be shown over here. Now, just from the alerts, if I come over here, then we can check what type of attack was it, then what is the source, okay, which policy came into the picture, okay. Now, all these things are over here, right? Now, even the alerts are, we can think of that, okay, it is notifying the administrators, but even certain incidents also get created over here. Okay. Now, within this incident, what happens? The security team, they come up, they check the incident, and they investigate what type of attack is it. Is there any kind of threat activity? Is there any kind of new malware being getting detected? Or maybe if any of the users has clicked on any kind of link or something. So all the things would come over here and see exfiltration incident. Is there anything else? No such thing. I think that since it's one of the testing environments,